the 2019-2020 looking Honda CBR300. I believe it's the F model. Worked on this bike kind of a handful of times, done some basic servicing to it, and bike may have had a little front end collision. Might have sustained a little bit of damage. I went ahead and replaced the handlebars on it, kind of put that all back together. Bike still rides weird. And then I was looking at it. Actually, customer dropped it off. Go ahead and do inspection on the front end, kind of see what's going on. And I noticed that it feels like the front end's twisted, which it all depends. Usually, when it twists like that, something usually bends, or something could have shifted on smaller bikes. Usually, sometimes you can kind of correct it by loosening things up and repositioning it. On larger bikes, usually it requires a lot of force to shift parts, and everything on this is aluminum. It's kind of a mini performance bike. And so, too hard of an impact, usually parts bend. So, we're going to go ahead and just kind of we're going to do some somewhat precise measuring. We'll go ahead and do some eyeball methods. First thing I'm kind of noticing though is from looking in the downward position. Let's see how I noticed it. I can notice it looks like the right hand fork is pulled back and the left hand fork's pushed forward. So could have two bent forks. But let's see if we can at least figure that out. Hold on. Let's see. So we kind of have everything already set up here, so I can do some testing. Let's see. Quantum. Everything's quantum. Sweet. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and take a look see. Try not to get my hands too dirty on this one. Should be quick and easy. This is a smaller bike. Not too much going on, but you still kind of got to take off quite a bit in order to access everything. So let me go ahead and just start while with the bikes on the ground. Go ahead and loosen that up. So 22 millimeter. Okay. This on back. It's the Harbor Freight one. Oh yeah. Okay. Gonna use our 12 millimeter. 12, right? Is that? Oh, has a little bit of crash damage on it. Bolt's a little scraped. So I wonder if this is. Huh. Okay. Ooh. Can I buzz this one? Good enough. Okay, let's hit those rear brake calipers, or front brake caliper, should I say? pretty straightforward so far. So we get down to the measuring techniques. It seems like it's kind of what's going on here. Oh, just Loctite. Okay. Caliper looks okay. I'm gonna have to remove that ABS sensor, the tone ring pickup sensor. Let's see. I'll just buzz it off with one of these. Okay. All right, nice. Probably get that with a pair of needles. So do I have to? How does this bracket? Actually, okay. There's probably another one that secures it on the inside. Okay, perfect. And looks like there's no nut on that side. Okay. Those. Let's see. Oh, that one feels bent. Cross-threaded. Okay. All right. So that should be free. Jeez, I'm gonna kind of check something too really quick here. See if I can do this. How does that ABS sensor come on? Looks like it's a bolt. Might be able to do that from the inside. And just take off the wheel. Probably easier. Okay. Nope, doesn't fit. But what I want to do, let's go ahead and take this off. Okay. This one's back. Is on the lower one. Note to self. Lower right hand side. Okay. Let's see, does this one come off? How does this one come off? There we go. The old fucking workaround. Cool. So front fender. Oh, that's why it's got has a nice little crack right there. So that was on the top. That one's a little bent too. It looks like. I wonder if the okay. Let's see. Something's back. It's like it's probably a fork. I want to see if this. Kind of take a little bit of the lateral plate out. Let's see here. Hmm. Damn, I'm moving it that much. Hold on. This isn't the best. There we go. Finally. I don't think the rotor's bent. It's only got like 2-3 thousandths of run out. It's actually really good. Okay. Let's try this. So more than likely axle could be bent too, but the main issue is with the forks for sure. Let's see, best way to do this. Let me think. I forgot how do I normally do this. Okay. Without taking the whole fork apart. All right, let's see. Do the uppers and then lowers. Oh, shit. Seems kind of. Let's loosen it. Let's see. It's probably the whole fucking front end. Triple trees and fucking forks. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh fuck. Oh yeah, look at the fork. It got pushed up. Or pushed down. Look at that. That's fucking gnarly. This one got moved too. So are the triple trees bent? That's a question. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to fucking pull this fork out. Let me see if I loosen this side up. But yeah, that right side looks like it's fucked. And then maybe I can kind of see what's straight. Yeah, I noticed the bolts weren't even really tight on that side. Yeah, this one comes right out. So I have a feeling if I take, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to get this one out. No, this one's This is bent, and I think the triple trees are bent on this side. I don't even want to try forcing it out. I'm probably gonna fuck it up, but just for experimental reasons, you can go ahead and let's see. Should be good. Figure meet the fork right in the middle. Let's see. Where do we realistically want to line up? And we have to go up just a little bit more. Like right there. Let's see what it. Let me see if I can change that angle a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, something like that should work. Oof. All right. Nope. Oops, too far. Could probably change that angle just a little bit more still. This tube's actually surprisingly straight. One has like maybe 2 thousandths of run out. It's kind of a trick. You got to hold pressure using the weight of the fork here. This is like kind of one of the clamping surfaces. This isn't necessarily a clamping surface here on the fork, but assuming how this is machined, it's usually parallel. So you can check the outer tube this way. Usually, like it's very possible the inner leg could. And I'm trying to think. There's another way we could check that right now. Is basically I'll set up the dial indicator, but this is like a good way to kind of check the outer tube right here to see if it's if the outer tube's at least bent.
And then to check the inner tube, see how well I can do it with my setup here. But usually you clamp it up with soft jaws kind of carefully so you don't damage anything. Okay, bad boy is locked and loaded. So hold on, actually maybe I should have done it the opposite way for my magnetic stand. Let's see. Tits McGee. All right. Shitty angle here. Hold on. Realistically, I have to set it up like this. Okay. So kind of hard to see. I got a towel rack in the way here. Where are we at? Try to zero. There's obviously going to be a little bit of deflection. You know, this isn't super precise, but I'll guarantee this is good enough for up to 2000s here. You know, we're not doing tenths of a thousand precise precision. Usually the run out on something like this of it, you know, of a part being eccentric on the front suspension on most bikes, I think I want to say is like around 6 thousandths. Once there's like more than 6 thousandths of deflection, that's when you're gonna have like abnormal bushing wear, inner outer tube wear, all sorts of weird stuff. So from what I can see, I mean this tube here is yeah, I'm not getting like more than like 6 thousandths. Yeah, usually if a fork's like really bent, when if the inner tube's bent here, this part is it eccentric. It all depends. Like usually if there's going to be like damage in this section, but usually it's going to bend, like a fork's going to bend. There's a bushing in here, so usually bend around this area, and you'll either feel binding as you're rotating it, or if it's severe enough, what it's going to do is it's gonna throw this tube off here, and you'll see it. And usually when you check the outer, you know, it's gonna be eccentric. Oh man, so I mean that's just kind of checking that it's, you know, good. The other thing you can kind of do, let's see here, it's kind of like an eyeball method. I don't think this will fit inside, will it? Yeah, it will, maybe. Without the caps on. So they are different diameters, of course, but it should still kind of be plumb. A little gap right there, a little gap right there. So that one's flush on the top. Oh, okay. That's just the plastic part that I'm looking at there. So it's kind of hard to see. I got to look at the bottom. Oh no, it looks good. So basically what I'm looking for is contact on my straight edge here. Both points of contact on this lower triple tree, and then 2 points of contact on the upper, and it should feel flush. You should be able to feel it. Like if it's obviously cockeyed, like, see if I can zoom in. But if it was like kind of cockeyed or off to the side, you know, like that had a little gap. But this right here, when you apply pressure to the top and bottom, kind of holding it, you know, shoot, it's kind of hard to do just with 2 hands here, but you kind of get the idea. Both surfaces of the straight edge are nice and flush against the outer diameter or inner diameter of the fork leg. So if it was like severely bent or whatever, at least in that direction, the vertical position, usually you're going to notice it's not going to feel kind of flush. The other way too, usually you take off the triple trees and you put them on a flat plate, you know, and you basically check to see, rock it back and forth. You can check it with feeler gauges. Usually just shining a light underneath it will make it pretty obvious. But I'm going to say at least this side's good, but I'm thinking, and it's very possible, this fork right here is for sure damaged and more than likely bent. Kind of wish there was trying to think. I don't want to pull this fork out and then end up, I don't want to pull this fork out and, yeah, and I'm wondering too if like how that even happened, like if that happened and the customer like pushed it back up, because it wouldn't have gone down and then gone back up on its own. So I'm wondering if the customer kind of already knew about it, you know, but just kind of made me like figure it out on my own, I guess. But yeah, that's probably going to be it. This I'm sure this triple tree right here is bent, upper and lower, and this tube's for sure damaged, because this tube should slide out pretty easily, and it's not. Like kind of how the left side did, the right side didn't. So the next thing we can check, like I said, it'd be nice to pull this one out, but I don't want to, unless I call the customer, but I don't want to tie up my lift too. I'm probably going to put the other fork back on and tighten it up and see what they want to do with the bike. A lot of talk about selling it as is, so maybe, you know, there's no point in really pulling out this tube and stuff like that because of how damaged it is. We'll just leave that as is. But the other thing that we kind of want to check is, let's go ahead and check the frame mounts and the steering stem. Usually when the handlebars get smashed or off to the side, sometimes they'll kind of pull on the frame here. Definitely on these steering stem stops or handlebar stops, depending on, you know, manufacturer. Sometimes those will get damaged or actually get bent down, or they'll actually strike the triple trees enough they'll shear them off. I've seen that before on a lot of bikes on more like severe accidents. They just get sheared right off. I mean, looks like, you know, there might have been a little bit of some violent contact from, you know, it looks just a little deformed and flattened, but it looks overall pretty straight. Stopping tab and that tab, they look, in my opinion, they look perpendicular to each other in parallel. So I'm gonna say that's pretty solid. We'll take a look at the headlight while we're in here. The wiring harness, looks like the wiring harness, everything looks okay. This is the radiator here. So bike didn't really sustain too much damage on the left hand side. It was mainly this side right here, the right hand side, that sustained damage. And the customer, I think he like replaced some of the broken tabs that were in here already. Engine oil looks okay, still on the clean side. Not sure if I did that or if that's something he did. Let's see, radiator tabs look okay, nice and straight. ABS line, does this one have ABS? I think this is, or non-ABS model. Let's see. Yeah, it feels nice and tight. I don't necessarily see any damage or scrape marks, punctures, abrasion. This headlamp lower mount is broken. The customer did give me a new one here, but I'm gonna have to, let's hit them up right now and let them know. I did tell them we're gonna be live streaming this, so let's hold on. Let's give this a second. Let's just give them an update really quick. Oh, son of a bitch. Front. Okay, let's see. Hey, Maxim Smirnoff 6109. America, KX1, Kawasaki KX125. Hell yeah, brother. That's what I'm talking about. Bike life. Doesn't matter where you are in this world. It's all about the bike life. Oh yeah. Let's see if I get a response back here. Yeah, let's go ahead and finish up. Let's see if we get a response back here. But anything else we can see? Usually it's kind of hit or miss. What is this? Steel? Molly? Pretty sure it's Molly. Could be mild steel. Okay. Yeah, it could be like not a mild steel, high carbon steel, possibly. Could be a Molly frame, who knows? I'm not sure the metallurgy on this specific model, but usually on these economy bikes, we're not using a full aluminum frame. We're going to go ahead and use something a little bit cheaper. It's going to be heavier. So usually with steel, will a steel frame, if it's hard enough, it'll kind of bend and it'll take a set. It doesn't really spring back compared to an aluminum frame. An aluminum frame is pretty good. Usually you can bend aluminum parts. Usually they'll bend and they may spring back depending on, their alloy and temperament, heat treatment. Or they'll usually take a set also. And usually once aluminum parts take a set, they're more prone to catastrophic failure or like cracking or just straight shearing, versus steel is a lot more forgiving. If you bend it, usually, the way it kind of bends, it's going to stay bent. And you can also kind of bend it back. Aluminum is kind of without heat treating the whole part, shot peating it, x-raying it, or not x-raying, but I forget the process. I'm pretty sure somebody who does machining steel probably knows, but it's using like ultrasound or like an ultrasound machine to check the density of, you know, the part and how it's casted, or when it's a billet part and it's machined. These frames, not necessarily this one, but like more of the race bikes, they have a really stringent manufacturing process, and you know how their frames are manufactured. So on something like this, you know, you bend it. Typically, this frame can be bent back into place. It'd be a lot of work. You'd have to remove a lot of stuff on the bike and put in a jig in order to straighten it out. But you know, just from like looking at it, the other thing too, you can kind of get an idea. The bike's pretty level right now, and it's kind of almost looks like that handlebar, and I put new handlebars on this. It almost looks like that right side handlebar is higher. Like that's that position. That one almost looks kind of like pointed up. And yeah, I mean, those don't look bent per se. I mean, it could just be an optical illusion. I could have sworn I replaced these bars. Should be new, unless it was dropped again and I wasn't told about it, but I don't believe so. But you never know. Doesn't appear to be. The other thing too is kind of feeling the front end. Kind of watch out for these zip ties here, they don't stab you. You can kind of check for front end play. You can visually, sometimes if you like put the handlebars to the side, if they're loose, if you look at this top washer right here without load on it, or even with load, sometimes they'll show even more, but you'll see it shifting back and forth. That means the preload on the upper and lower bearings into the race, it's lost preload. And if it came from the factory with proper preload and all of a sudden doesn't, that's usually because something was bent. Let's see. From eyeball testing it, not that I see. Usually it'll be pretty noticeable. Kind of hard keeping without a camera swaying around on my chest here. But yeah, this thing is this thing's fucked. Oh, hey, look at that. Look at the fork tube right here. Look at that. Now that I loosened it up, see how the back of the fork is protruding out right there? And look at the front. The front's suck in right here. So this fork and the triple trees, this thing is fucked. Yeah, there it is right there. For sure, triple trees. For sure, a triple tree and a fork tube. All right, I think that's pretty much it. I don't know. We'll see if we'll come back with the part 2. Maybe we'll slam this thing back together pretty quick. But, you know, that's kind of usually depending on how severe the damage is. Now that everything's loosened up, taken apart, been inspected, sometimes you can catch little stuff like this by just looking at it. But usually the first thing was, you know, just from taking on a test ride, the way the front brake feels, the way that the bike turns, knowing it had, you know, moderate crash damage on the right hand side. Basically, it probably wouldn't hurt to say that we should probably replace the steering races, bearings, the triple trees, upper and lower, and at least that right hand fork tube. So OEM parts on this thing are probably pretty expensive, plus labor, probably like another 4 hours of work. So we're just going to go ahead and put the fork back on, tighten it up, and call it a day and see what the customer wants to do. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. If you've just found this channel, we do a lot of random bikes. Just depends on what the project of the day is. So yeah, go ahead and hit those comment boxes. Give this video a thumbs up if you have any questions. you know, feel free to ask. That's kind of what we like to do here in the live stream, is just hang out and talk to people, see if they have any advice. Usually when I'm running into like a problem, sometimes I'll get lucky and we'll have some educated fellows who maybe know a thing or two more than me or have experience in that particular situation. And instead of it taking me 30 minutes, you know, I get a quick answer from somebody and it kind of lights that light bulb. So, you know, that's what I feel like makes these streams a little different. You know, it's kind of a way of networking. And if you guys don't have that experience, you know, this is kind of live. These are raw, unedited videos. So, you know, I might drop a tool or whatever. I might think of a certain process is going to work perfectly at that time. And then I end up figuring out, nope, it's not going to work. So, yeah, that's kind of what makes this interesting. You know, kind of get an idea of what it takes time-wise to figure this out. You know, we got about 40 minutes into this. We'll probably have like another 20, 30 minutes putting it back together. Plus, you know, test riding it, looking at the bike, talking to the customer from like a business standpoint, you know, for what we're charging. Unless they want to do it my way, replace the whole front end pretty much. It's probably gonna, you know, I'm just gonna put it back together, and you know, they can make a decision on if they want to bring it back to me. But I could easily see this project here, to do it correctly, it's probably going to cost over $1,000. And most people, depending on what these bikes are worth, you know, it's you can get used parts for them, maybe save a couple bucks, take the chance of buying somebody else's damaged parts, which typically that's what ends up happening, unless you're buying it from a legit seller. But yeah, that's just the price of rice when working with these bikes. The market right now, these bikes are like, you know, 45, 5,500 when new. You can probably get them around a couple thousand cheaper, but you know, then you start running into these problems. This bike has been probably crashed it's been crashed at least 2-3 times by now, I'm sure. And it only has how many miles are on this bike? So that's the thing with like getting these smaller bikes. Sometimes it only has 7,000, 72, 71, so not even 10,000 miles on it, and the bike's probably been totaled twice now. That's just kind of what the deal is on these smaller bikes, and they cost just as much as the big bikes to fix them sometimes. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We're gonna slam this bad boy back together and hop on to the next one. I think we have I got a KO that I need to hop on, and a custom chopper. And then if we have time, maybe we'll see if we can I have a Yamaha R3 that we got to bang out a 16K service and some chain and sprockets on it. So be kind of interesting lineup today. Let's see. Keep the iPhone charged. I got about 58% on the iPhone, so should be able to squeeze out another video in the time that you know, I go ahead and clean up, put this bike back together here. But yeah, anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for the next one.